decided. It was decided for me when I was a kid. I think I came from a pretty dysfunctional background as a kid, and the two things that perhaps held things together, although this is what fruition, I'm not so sure that I'm still together, but things could have been a lot worse. And art and horses and art, my artwork, since I was a kid, I've been doing work my whole life, off and on. And of course, as I got older, it got more intense for me. But as a kid, you get diverted. But I've been doing my whole life, so it's been an evolution by osmosis. It was probably more an escape from an otherwise challenging and confusing environment. I taught art for probably 18 years, of which most of that was working with young people and children, even though for 10 of those years I also taught at the University of Vermont part-time. I taught a landscape watercolor painting, a very successful one, I might add, watercolor painting class for the extension services. But it was always with children that I found more inspiration. And to answer your question, I used to use, as one of a dozen projects, I used to use recycled window and door screening at that time for a few projects. Like one would be make masks, or for armature work and sculpting with clay or plaster. It's really difficult to explain it because this is such an unusual medium. It's a very rare medium. There's not many people that I either learned of or know of or been told. And
what are you doing?
That sort of goes hand in hand with the inability to actually teach it. I wouldn't know how to teach it, even though I'm a good teacher. I can demonstrate how I'm making my work, but I wouldn't know how to teach it. But there's something enigmatic about it that just draws me, and it's very meditating. I think it's filled with meditation, and it just is something that excites me in terms of work. I've always liked to do human figures. I've always liked to do animals, and the irony is that I didn't do any of that for years. I was into a lot of more abstract, exploratory, experimental work with different mediums. I worked in many mediums, but to make that full circle at this point in my life, I find that this medium just suits figurative work, particularly human anatomy, so well that that's exciting, and it's very inspiring, and I really feel a sense, since especially this last year and a half, that it's more exciting now than it was when I first started, because I'm now reaching a comfort zone, and the comfort zone is also giving me products that I never ever thought that I could get to this point with in terms of detail. I'm obsessed with this medium more than any other medium. I just find that there's a natural process that takes place, a vital part of my life. I couldn't do without it now, actually. I couldn't live without it now. It's become that integral in my life. Most valuable experience I had with formal training was at Rhode Island School of Design. It was short of 3 months that I studied human anatomy with drawing and sketching. I remember with this one day we didn't have enough time to do the plastering, and the kids panicked. And I said, "Sorry, we'll do it tomorrow. Let's just set them on the table." And like a sunlit day today, they put them on the table, and it's cast all these extraordinary shadows. And I realized that, something else is going on here. And so I'm slow when it comes to that kind of thing. If it was any other artist, they would have jumped on it, had it up and running in a year. But it took me, a few years to get into it more and more and more. The shadow is a secondary subplot. I don't even focus on the shadow at all when I'm making the pieces. I feel that, and it's just seems to be the case, that if I do the piece that I'm working on as best as I possibly can, then the shadow just falls where it may, and
this on
has to,
Facebook.
be what it is. Very rarely do I ever look at a shadow and then tweak a piece because of the way the shadow looks. I've taught myself basically how to do this, and that's what I meant in terms of the background. Even though periodically I would run into somebody who would say, hey, do you know about so-and-so, or you should check out this website, and so there's been 3 or 4 others out of there's probably a dozen or more, 15. But it's still we're a rare breed, people who work with wire mesh in a very serious, consistent manner. I think most sculptors toy with it, and they do very well in making things with mesh, but I don't think they're obsessed like I am. I can't work without music.
Yeah, I don't want the sound on it.
I also
Wait, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take the sound out anyway.
And I enjoy music. I've been in and out of various art rock, jazz bands, blues bands over the years. So music is an integral part of my background as well as an outlet. Art, there is a thing called beautiful mystery. You don't always have to, and it applies to many different parts of your life. So it's a lesson to be learned through art, which is that you don't always have to understand something to like it. And it's the same with people. You can like a person and not understand them, and vice versa. Inspiration is a nerve end. It's a feeling and a sensory thing that happens. 5, 6 years ago, I would never imagine my doing this particular work, let alone succeeding at it. And I travel all over the country now with my work to arts festivals and galleries. I have a gallery as far away as Santa Fe right now that wants my work. I have to get a piece out there this spring. So, another mystery.